Good evening and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And I'm your host, Larry Cox, and it's great to have everyone that's joined me this evening joining me. So let's say hi to some folks in the chat. And before we get started discussing anything tonight, let's have you share and like this show so we can grow this audience as we begin to bash our good friend Terry Oates mercilessly tonight. So Dan Burks, nice to have you here. Cheryl Moulton, great to have you on the show. Joey Williams, great to have you. Megan Walker, great to have you. William Campbell, great to have you. Tina Hobbs, great to have you. Cheryl and Bing and Garcia, great to have you. Catherine Lynn, great to see you here tonight. Remember, guys, share and like this show. Angela Asperino, great to have you. Share and like the show. Let's build a good audience before we start bashing Superintendent Terry Oates. I want as many people as possible to hear me bash Terry Oates. It can't be any funner for me. Clayton Norwood, glad to have you. Remember, this is the guy that I had put on the ballot. Would you like to see him fired? And 62% of you said, yes, you would like to see him lose his job. And I would say there's even more than that now. And I'm just waiting to make that happen. Waiting to make that happen. So we're growing the audience and people are tuning in, and I know people want to hear me talk about what happened at that Board of Education meeting this past Thursday. Very interesting meeting. Very interesting meeting. So we publicized the meeting. We went to the meeting. George Kellencheck, nice to have you. It was a pretty well attended meeting for a 4 o'clock on a work day meeting. There were probably about 20 people there. So, but 4 o'clock Thursday on a work day, and they expect the citizens to be able to attend something like this, 4 p.m. on a work day, Thursday evening. You have a meeting at 4 p.m. on Thursday because you don't want anybody to attend. That's why you have a meeting at 4 p.m. on Thursday. You have that meeting at that time on that day because you don't want anybody to come to that meeting. That's why you have that meeting at 4 p.m. on Thursday, a work day. So they were talking about the RIF, which is the reduction in force resolution that the chairman presented. So, what I found very interesting is something that one of the board members said. He said this was the plan that was presented to the board. He said this was the plan that was presented to the board. There were no other options. There was no discussion. There was no we can do this or we could do that. There was no wiggle room. It's the superintendent proposed a single option to be considered by the board with no deviation. A single option plan. And some of the members of the board found it disturbing. One of the other things I found interesting was, when Janie Jones was asking her questions, she made some comments and, she said she didn't fully understand the plan. And I'll be honest, and I agree with Janie. I was there. I listened to the plan. I don't understand the plan. And, and she was correct in not understanding the plan. And then Janie asked, and then she made the comment that she had sent emails asking for clarifications of the plan. And she got back, I'll get back with you and you'll get this at a later date. Well, that day was the day they were voting on it. And BOE member Jones had not received any responses. She was asked, well, who did you send your responses to? And she said, Superintendent Terry Oates. She had sent her questions to Superintendent Terry Oates, and he had failed to give her any of the answers to her questions. Justin, board member Justin Kenny brought up points that he was against this because of the point plan that they had, and I wasn't certain about this point plan until I heard, a board member Justin Kenny discussing the point plan and how it could be used to reduce teaching staffs and this and that. And we got a personal obligation that the superintendent said that he promised he wouldn't cut school staff. Now, this RIF that was approved the other day, from my understanding, it gives him the authority to eliminate teaching staff. He just promised he wouldn't do it. We took a lot of CARES Act money and ARPA money, and they created a lot of positions in that board office. Board of Education member Justin Kenny clearly pointed out that there had been many positions created and many new jobs that were going on in that board office. And I like his point where he said, even though it's a big office, it's a nice office, and we've got all this space, we don't really have to fill and have all these new positions. And, I found it interesting that, he mentioned they were all six-figure salaries when our teachers don't make six figures. But most of the individuals who work in that board office are six-figured salaried individuals. So I found it very interesting that even when, they had their discussion, they mentioned, wanting an alternative. They wanted the option to do other things. And, could they discuss, Superintendent Oates did not respond back and did not engage or entertain any other options or choice. It was a one plan thing. That's all he had entertained. And it's a plan that he has the full ability to maneuver any way he wants. Found it very interesting when we take this vote. And when we hear the comments of our elected Board of Education members, it's very clear to me that we have 3 board members who are representing the community and 4 board members who are representing the superintendent. Now, a couple of school board members that represent the superintendent, they make this comment, we are representing the children. I'm going to, and I may upset some people in the room, and if I do upset you, I'm not sorry. Okay, just want to tell you this first. This is what I firmly believe. I believe that those people that are elected to the school board, first, they represent the taxpayers who fund the school system. If they properly elect the taxpayers that fund the school system, then the kids will be represented properly. But this is the way it goes. Now listen, I believe that those elected officials should represent the taxpayers who fund the school system. And if they do a good job at that, then they will in return do a good job representing the children and providing for an excellent educational opportunities for those kids. Now, guys, we've got to realize something. Whenever they start touting that it's for the kids, that's just for show. It's not for the kids. Because if it was truly for the kids, the superintendent would have used that ARPA funds and those CARES Act monies, and he would have put additional teachers in the schools. He wouldn't have put additional bureaucrats at the board office. So first indicator that it's not for the kids. Those discretionary funds didn't go to hire additional educators. They went to hire additional bureaucrats that work in the board office that make 6-figure salaries. That's a big indicator of actually who the superintendent looks out for and represents. And then when you've got 4 board members who clearly represent the need and desire of the superintendent, then that bypasses representing the community and taxpayers, which actually fund the school system. So we've got this whole thing a little bit backwards about who the school board actually represents. They actually represent you and I, the taxpayers, the individuals who support the school system financially, that we pay everybody's salaries, that the monies come from our property taxes so that they can actually run this school system. And if they represent us properly, then in turn, they would be representing the children properly. But you first have to represent who's got skin in the game. And the taxpayers have skin in the game. Taxpayers do want a functional community. And to have a functional community, you must have an educated community. So we all want our children to leave the school system with an education that they're able to read and write, do arithmetic, have basic skills. We want them to be able to succeed in life. But we also want to be able to put food on the table, pay the rent, and be able to live in our own homes throughout our natural lives also. And what we have going on right now in Georgia and across America is a property tax crisis in this country. We have a property tax crisis as to where senior citizens are being taxed out of independent living. Senior citizens don't downsize and sell their homes because that's the American dream. That, I'm going to work really hard, buy this home, and when I retire, not be able to pay the taxes to keep it. So I'm going to have to sell it and downsize and find something that I can afford. That's not the American dream, and that's not what people signed up for. Trust me, it's not. Through the Rockdale voter group, we're going to be advocating for a senior exemption. And like I said, with a senior exemption for property taxes and properties, average Georgian lives 74.6 years, 74.8 years, 65. You start the percent down to 70, you zero out. The average home is off the tax rolls for 4 years, 4.5 years. And at that point, you and I die, someone younger gets access to the property, they begin paying property taxes. So it's a cyclic system. And it's a fair system. It enables senior citizens to maintain dignity and to be able to live, to maintain independent living. But it also allows the school system and the counties and the cities to be able to gauge through this rotating process of what their revenues are going to look like. And if that means they have to cut budgets, tighten up, and spend money more efficiently, then that's what it means. Because you and I can only support the government as much as we can support the government. We can't support the government to the point to where they bankrupt you and I and put us in the streets. Because at that point, then they're not able to maintain. So they have a cycle here that if they don't get a hold of it, then everyone loses. So guys, what we need to do, like I say, is we need to stand up and say enough is enough. So let's talk about what we can do with this particular board. So the way I see this particular board, you got 3 good guys, okay? And I'm just going to say it this way. You got 3 good guys. You have got Justin Kinney, Janie Jones, and Sandra Jackson-Lett. Sandra Jackson-Lett was on the board as an island by herself for several years. Janie Jones gets elected. She joins Sandra Jackson led as a voice of reason. And then Justin Kinney gets appointed. And hey, Justin Kinney joins the voice of reason. So you have Sandra Jackson Lett, Janie Jones, and Justin Kinney, who I describe as the good guys. Then we've got the bad guys, the people who represent the Board of Education, the superintendent. We've got Pam Brown, Heather Duncan, Akita Palmer, and Mandy North. So those four are the individuals who, in my opinion, represent the superintendent. They don't represent you and I, the people they should be representing. But they use the code word, we represent the kids. That's the code word. Code word for we're going to do whatever the superintendent says is we represent kids. So I don't think the kids pay their salaries. Don't think the kids pay taxes. I think it's the adults who are working every day trying to squeeze these things. So they're the ones who need to be represented. So that's my opinion. So what do we have? What does this 24 election look like? Well, we have 5 open seats, and the people who currently have those current open seats, which those seats will be up for election, are Justin Kinney, who just got appointed. Good guy. Need to keep Justin Kinney. And we have Pam Brown, Heather Duncan, Akita Palmer, what did I say? Heather Duncan, Pam Brown, Akita Palmer, and Mandy North. So those 4, if they run, we don't need to vote for them. We need to get them out of office. Then we need to vet whoever is running and to make sure they're going to be a good guy and represent you and I. One of the big indicators that I know that we can indicate if somebody's a good guy or a bad guy, and it was an indicator that I used this past time, and I knew we had 2 good guys running and one not so good guy. So when Janie Jones was elected, her and Tommy Plummer both said I don't think neither one of them supported rehiring Terry Oates, but the other person did. So the other person was never in my consideration because they were going to support the superintendent. That's what they actually said. Well, I'm elected to support the superintendent. If you're running and you're getting elected to support the superintendent, then you're a bad guy. Very, very bad. So we need to vet these candidates and make sure that they're here to represent you and I, and not the superintendent. And if we hear that buzzword, we're representing the kids, it's for the kids, then it's very, very bad guy, because that's just trickery. When they start that, we're representing the kids, very bad. Or they don't even have any idea what they're supposed to be doing on that board. So remember, we hear that nonsense, it's for the kids, then run and hide. Vote those characters out because they are lying to you. It's for the kids means I'm representing the school superintendent. Don't fall for that nonsense. Do not fall for it. Like I said, the way I look at this school board right now, we have 3 good guys, 4 bad guys. And that's the way I see it, and that's the way I call it. And and people are going to get upset at me because I was at the meeting the other day and some people wouldn't look at me and they're looking away and all this, because you know what? They know I come on this show and they know that I am going to speak my truth every Sunday. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to tell you how I saw it. And what I saw this past Thursday at 4 p.m. during a work day, which hardly anyone could attend. I'm fortunate enough can flex my schedule a bit and make it to a meeting like that. Knew some other people that were retired, some other people who have flex schedules. They were able to go. Had about 20 people be able to attend. Guarantee if you'd had that meeting at 7 o'clock, you'd had 70, 80 people in that room and not 20. But we strategically, these individuals strategically have these meetings at 4 o'clock on a work day so that a limited number of people can attend these meetings. Because at the meeting, the folks that were talking and saying things, they were asking for transparency. They were asking for open dialogue. I like how all these boards like to hide behind this. Well, you can, have your 2 minutes to speak, whatever, and then they won't answer you, right? Well, there's nothing wrong with one meeting a month having an open dialogue. They even said it 3 minutes 3 minutes a person, 30 minutes. Ever how many people speak in 30 minutes? And that's ridiculous. If 100 people come to that meeting, then they should accommodate all 100 people speaking 3 minutes. That's just, we don't want you to have a voice. We don't really believe in the First Amendment. I don't even know if this school teaches the Constitution or the First Amendment. Wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. Don't know if they do, but won't surprise me if they didn't. Or if they taught an alternate reality Constitution. Wouldn't surprise me one bit, because, this is the society that if you think you're a cat, you're a cat. You think you're a dog, you're a dog. You think you're a boy and you're a girl, you're really whatever. This is the society we live in, where reality is not reality. Your reality is what you say it is. It's not what's right in front of your eyes. So that's why we've got to this situation, is because we don't tell people, we don't let somebody know, somebody runs around dressed like a girl who's really a boy, and we put up with the nonsense, and we let them just go around and don't hurt their feelings and say, and I do think there's a mental illness thing here, but we're not helping the situation by going along with the ridiculous behavior. By going along with ridiculous behavior, acknowledging pronouns and all this nonsense, then we've created the society that we're living in right now. If you're one of the people who go along with this nonsense, thank you. You've helped create this nonsense that we're living in right now. Stop it. Stop acknowledging the crazoids. Quit it right now. Stop it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. That's what I say. Let's get them the mental help that they need. Let's get them the mental help that they need. That's what we do. We just don't pretend and go along with insanity. Let's get them the mental health need, the mental help, the help with their mental health that they need. That's what we do. We just don't let them. Give you an example. My late sister, many years ago, thought she was a witch casting spells. Then I let her continue to believe she was a witch casting spells, running around homeless. No, I did not. I did what I had to do to get her off the streets, get her on medication, so that she lived the last 20 years of her life, that she got to reconnect with her children. And it's because I didn't allow her to believe she was a witch and run around homeless. I stepped in and I got her the mental health needs that she had to have to live a good life and to be able to regain relationships with her kids. She had thanked me many and many a times for doing that. Her children thanked me many times for doing that so that they could have a relationship with their mother. I challenge you, stop the nonsense, stop the pandering. Stop it right now. Reality is reality. Let's live in reality. Let's not live in fantasy. Time to stop living in fantasy. That's what we do. We live in the now and we live in reality. So, guys, that's my update on the Board of Education. What do you guys? Some of you guys have mentioned some stuff in the chat. Really like to get some input from you. I know I've got some input from you, but I think it was ridiculous. the limited debate, limited, and then the vote that we had was ridiculous, all crazy. But you know what? In 2024, we have elections. Elections can make a difference. Elections have consequence. If you elect the bad people again, if you elect Heather Duncan, Pam Brown, Akita Palmer, and Mandy North again, then you will continue to get the nonsense. If you elect at least 2 additional people who will represent you and not the superintendent, then we have a chance of getting our school system and our community back. We really do. But it's up to you, the voters of Rockdale County. It's up to you to step up, and it's up to you to vote for non-incumbents. Basically, folks, I'm going to support mostly non-incumbents this coming 24. I will not be supporting the current chairman of the Board of Commission. Will not be supporting an incumbent sheriff. Will not be supporting an incumbent post 1 commissioner. Will not be supporting 4 of the incumbent BOE members. Now, Justin Kinney, I'm going to support Justin, but he got appointed, not ever been elected. And even if Justin had been elected, just somebody I would support. So just to let you know, let's just pay attention to who we support and what they support, what their stances are, what they believe in. Because we've got to look at what they believe in, and then we have to mirror that. We have to say, that's what we believe in. If they believe in what we believe in, then they're the right person. But we have to ask hard questions. The Board of Education, the very first question, would you support in not renewing Terry Oates' contract? That's got to be a yes for me before I'll even consider voting for you. That's got to be a yes to me before I will consider voting for you. That you will not renew Terry Oates' contract. Megan Walker asked an interesting question. Do we have the many running against him? We don't know who will be running against him yet. One of my goals as the Rockdale voter, our group is actually going to actively recruit candidates to run in these races. And candidates that are running, we're going to meet with them and do that. But we definitely need to find people and support people. It's not enough anymore just to rally against the establishment. It's not enough to rally against those in office. We have to give the people an alternative, and we have to say why the alternative is a better choice than the people that we have now. We owe it to the voters. If we're going to get out there and say, this isn't working, these people are doing bad, then we have to actually tell them, well, this person that's running against them will do better. This is what they'll do. I think we owe it to those voters to stand up and to promote individuals who are running against the bad actors, the clown posse, because that's what I consider. I consider most of these incumbents just clowns. They get into office, they don't represent you and I. And like I said again, people, when they start this nonsense, we're representing the kids. It's for the kids. Immediately, that's a red flag. It means they're bad guys. They're not telling you the truth. That's just trickery right there and trying to pull on your heartstrings right there. It's for the kids. We just do this for the kids. It's sacrifice. And can you say bull crap? Bull crap. Bull crap. It's not for the kids. When you're elected to this office, if you're elected to that office, your primary goal should be to represent those individuals who pay for the school system. Who pay for the school system. That's what it should be. Guys, this is just common sense. We need to really look at what we're doing. You know, Charlotte, you mentioned some stuff right here about the digest and this and the millage rate and the budget increases. Terry Oates throwed a little thing out there about the millage rate. I sort of took his comment the other day as a threat. You don't give me my riff, I'll get my money because I'm gonna raise your taxes. That's the way I took it the other night. Then he responds back to a citizen's email explaining about this great thing that the citizens did about awarding the Board of Education of Rockdale the ability to go up to 30 meals. Well, guys, that election happened in 1965. There were about 600 people that participated in that special election on December 15th totally. And there were over 15,000 people that lived in Rockdale County. At that point, I can see maybe why they needed that, because it was probably rough for 15,000 people to support the school system. We now have over 94,000 people in Rockdale County. I think it's time we put that initiative back on the ballot, don't you? Shouldn't we be in line with the rest of the counties now at the top amount that they can raise, that they can have a millage rate? I think we need to take that 30 mills away. We need to put it at what state law allows. We need to take their 30 mills away, because I'm going to tell you what, when property assessments begin to decline, these characters are going to raise that millage rate, and they're going to come after your tax dollars. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Oh, I want to put what Cheryl said up here just now. Ben said, if you vote for Mandy North, Heather Duncan, Pam Brown, or Akita Palmer again, then don't complain about your taxes and bad schools. Amen, Ben. That's exactly true. 100% true. That is 100% true. And that goes with, there's several people I believe that in. I also think that we need to say the same thing about Sherry Washington and Oz Nesbitt. Nobody wants the multi-$100 million complex. It's not $110 million. It's going to be around $500 million when all's said and done. I'm going to stick to it, and nobody's going to change my mind. We're going to be $500 million after interest and everything on whatever crazy thing they build over there, right? So if you want to stand by and let that happen, you elect Sherry Washington and Oz Nesbitt. If you want to continue to watch your property taxes soar, it is mostly the school board to blame for that, to be real. It is. If you want to continue for that to happen, and yeah, you go ahead and you vote for those individuals that are in office, and you put them back in, and you're going to watch your property tax bills soar. They're going to keep going up, keep going. They're going to soar, and they're going to reach new heights. That's what's going to happen. They're going to soar and reach new heights. So guys, we've got to reach out to our friends and neighbors and fellow voters, and it's time for us to unite as a community. It's time to drop party labels. It's time to drop Republican, Democrat party labels. And it's time for us to interact as a community to get rid of these individuals that are in office that keep making our taxes go sky high. It's time to unite as a community and say enough is enough. We are the ones in charge, and we can do that. We really, really can. I just want each and every one of you to know that it starts with you. You have the power through your voice, through your words, to influence people. The more people you influence, then the more people they influence, and the more people those people influence, then we'll have an impact at the ballot box. So I challenge each of you, talk to 10 of your friends and have your 10 friends talk to their 10 friends. and so on and so on. If we do that, we build a coalition that's unbeatable, that's unstoppable. We build a coalition of citizens who will stand up for their rights as taxpayers. That's what we have to do, and it's what we need to do. And it's all up to you, the citizen of Rockdale County. You can make a difference in 2024. You can send a powerful message through your vote in the May primary. We can change the direction of Rockdale County. We can change the trajectory. We can make Rockdale County the county we all want it to be. We can turn a destructive cycle around, but it takes doing it at the ballot box. That's what it takes. It takes you and I making the hard decision to do the right thing. And it is. Sometimes it's hard to do the right thing. It's hard to do the right thing because we have to quit being mad at Democrats as Republicans. Democrats, you got to get over yourself and vote for somebody else. Because Democrats, you're the problem. You are the problem. Because you're the ones that keep electing these morons. Because it's in the Democrat primary. That's why all citizens need to participate in the Democrat primary to level the playing field. We got to get rid of these morons. And we can do it in November if it happens in May. Isn't that that's true? We can do it in November if it happens in May. So I challenge each and every one of you, do the right thing. Talk to 10 people. Then those 10 people talk to 10 people. And then those 10 people talk to 10 people. And let's put our powers into that ballot box in May. Thanks, guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. I've been on here for 40 minutes, and it's long enough. I thank you for joining me, and I want to let you know, join me next week, Sunday, 8 p.m., and we'll talk about what we can do to change the course of Rockdale County. Thank you, and good night.